Hello, and welcome back to We Love the State. This is the state-sanctioned podcast. I am your host, Andy Coons. Right over here to this way, that way. It's my co-host, Ben DeJong. How you doing, Ben?
I'm doing great. I'm really excited about this podcast. Like, I probably could have gone on for hours with these guys. It's the first time I met them. So what I'd like to ask probably for the intro is, how did you connect with them, meet them? I mean, they're just captivating guests. Probably one of the best. I can't wait to listen to this podcast. We'll put it that way. It's so good that I want to listen to it.
Well, it was Gerard I met through TikTok, and Adam I actually didn't meet through TikTok. I met him through Facebook. But Gerard had he's got a huge TikTok audience, and so I knew of him, and then I saw that he started following me, and I might be missing some details here and there, but he started following me, I started following him. Excuse me. And yeah, we talked a little bit here and there. But whenever I asked him to do this episode, he was like, "Oh, hell yeah," you know. Same thing with Adam. Met Adam through Facebook, but whenever I saw him, I recognized him from he did stand up for the Pennsylvania State Convention. He did a little bit of stand up before Dave Smith came up, and so I saw him and I messaged him on Facebook. I was like, "You opened for Dave Smith, right, in Pennsylvania?" He's like, "Oh yeah, that's me." I was like, "Oh, dude, sweet." And so me and him started talking back and forth, and then Adam invited me onto his podcast with Brian McWilliams, who was one of the original founders of Lions of Liberty. Went on there, had
somebody else you connected with through TikTok or through
Adam or Brian?
Twitter.
Adam, I connected with through Facebook, and is whenever whenever I started putting like TikTok content on Facebook, I started getting a lot of friend requests for libertarians from all over the place, you know. And he was one of them, or maybe I added him. I don't know. I just know it was through Facebook. But anyway, they've both been doing stand up for like 10 years. They're both extremely talented. They're both extremely funny. They're both really, really well connected. I say this during the episode, but I was on a Patrick Bet David binge, just watching all kinds of episodes of his show, the Valuetainment show. And there's one I push play, and boom, there's Gerard just sitting right next to Patrick Bet David. And I was like, "Holy shit." I was like, "That's fucking Gerard," you know? And I didn't realize like how like big in the industry he is, you know, the industry of, you know, podcasting, internet entertainment. But
I think that's so exciting, especially in this business, because I know you and I talked before, but like the first time I met Clint Russell was in person. Like, I didn't even, quite understand the size and scope of his audience and what he was all about. Yeah. He just happened to be at a libertarian conference that I was attending, and it's like, man, this guy's really cool. He gave some talks. He was on a panel. I'm like, man, I'd love to have him on a podcast. And then I started doing some like research. I was like, holy shit, he's the real deal. Like,
that's what it was like whenever I met Jeremy Kaufman in Reno, because he came up to me and he was like, "Are you Andy Coons from TikTok?" And I was like, "Oh yeah." And he's like, "Oh, I love your stuff, man." I was like, "Oh, dude, thank you so much." And he was like, "Yeah, my name's Jeremy Kaufman." And I was like, "Nice to meet you." And he's like, "Yeah, I'm running for Senate or governor or whatever it is in New Hampshire." And I was like, "Oh, okay," because Libertarian Party of New Hampshire has a TikTok page, and so I would see their stuff and they would like my stuff and comment every once in a while. And so that was how I originally met the Libertarian Party of New Hampshire's social media team, and Jeremy Kaufman's one of the people on there. And so they would every once in a while put, you know, videos up of him, and I was like, oh yeah, I recognize you. And then I like started to understand like how big of a deal Jeremy Kaufman is. Like, he started Library and is one of the mastermind, or one of the big names in like the Free State Project, and he was on Timcast too. And like it was, I felt like such a dipshit because I'm sitting there in the conference hall, and Jeremy recognized me as, you know, dude from TikTok, and I was like, oh yeah, look, yeah, I was recognized by this lowly fellow, and turns out he's like a bigger deal than I'll ever be. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's really cool when you start looking at other people as peers, and not as like, you know, you kind of put people on a pedestal when you look up to them, literally, because you revere them, you appreciate them, you really like identify with them, and then all of a sudden, then you like actually meet them, like, you know, like our podcast with Spike Cohen. That's the first time I was able to meet him. I mean, he got my last name completely wrong, but you know, you can't blame the guy because he's not around a lot of Dutch people, we'll put it that way.
Yeah.
But like all of a sudden you're like, they are just another guy doing a podcast, or another woman doing a podcast. They're you know, like it really humanizes them, I guess. And I think that's really cool. Like to be able to have that type of a one-on-one conversation with people that you really value their opinion on things, you know. So this is another great conversation with, you know, not just two good comedians or great comedians, but great independent thinkers. And you know, I think comedians and comedy in general, they're the canary in the coal mine as far as like free speech goes. And so I think this was a great conversation to talk about, you know, what are the struggles they're having, what's the audience that they really have conflicts with, how do they deal with conflict during a set. I mean, this is, you know, that's fascinating stuff for me, because I mean, you can memorize an act, and but you get interrupted, you get sidelined, you get thrown off your game. Like, that's a true test, I think, of a comedian, because you really have to, like, some of the stuff, I can't remember which special Bill Burr did, but there was a woman, you know, in the middle of the special that shouted out something, and he did just like a great job, because when somebody in the audience like disrupts the set, I think like everybody goes, oh shit. Like, this is awkward as fuck, and they start looking around going, you know, how is everybody else taking this, you know, this interruption? And it puts a huge stress, but I think like a huge opportunity for the comic. Because you can turn that around and pull everyone in 100%. Or you can let the heckler or whoever disrupt the whole set, and then you're really screwed for the rest of your time. So, I mean, that's the kind of stuff that really fascinates me. People don't understand, this isn't just a funny person on stage. They don't get the behind the scenes, you know, of
the craftsmanship of it.
The craftsmanship, the art of being a comic. So we touched on this a little bit in the conversation today, but it's something I think I would love to tease out more in the future.
Oh yeah, for sure. I just this episode and me going on Adam's podcast, it's, you know, you just don't realize how smart comedians are, you know, because they're the jester that goes up on stage and makes everybody laugh and stuff like that, and talks about their dick or whatever. But you just don't realize how intelligent and how talented comedians really are, you know, and how much they really think about the world and society and stuff like that. You know, I mean, just listening to Gerard, you can tell that he's really, really hyper observant, you know, and thinks about this stuff deeply, you know? So, I had a hell of a time during this episode. I loved it. I can't wait to have these guys on again. And yeah, so.
Yeah, completely agree. Super stoked. I hope everybody enjoys the podcast as much as we did.
Mhm.
And like you said, I'm just going to echo it. I can't wait to have both or individually. I mean, these are great guys. They have a sharp wit,
Mhm.
and I think to your point about comedians, it's one thing to get very good at public speaking.
Mhm.
It's another thing to add like memorizing a set,
Yeah.
and then on top of that, be able to deviate from the set based on your audience. Like
Mhm.
there is so much skill in every one of those, those levels of interaction. I know Jordan Peterson talks about, when he is doing a lecture, he doesn't look at it as a lecture, he looks at it as a conversation,
Mhm.
right? And I think a good comedian looks at a set as a conversation. They're not just there repeating lines that they memorized.
Mhm.
They laugh at their own jokes. They they're a part of it. They're not just there to lecture you. And like that, I just can't you just can't appreciate that level of skill enough.
Mhm.
So to be able to do that, and our guests to be able to have that skill and hold true to their principle on
Mhm.
top of like all the other complexities that go along with like doing an hour stand up,
Mhm.
you have to give your hats off to people like that. So
For sure.
yeah, super geeked about this episode, and like, yeah, can't wait to have these guys on again.
Well, let's do some quick plugs or some quick updates. We're getting things lined up to start doing episodes for our locals. We're trying to get everything figured out there. I know I say this like every episode, but we're still working on the locals. Um, it's it's up. We just haven't posted anything to it, and we're still trying to figure out what the subscription type thing is going to look like.
But to your point, like if there's anybody listening that like has any ideas of what they would like in
Mm-hmm.
a subscription model, because we really want to deliver a product that people not only appreciate but value.
Yeah, for sure.
So we are working on merch,
Mm-hmm.
t-shirts, keychains, koozies, coffee mugs, etc. But I don't want to just like flood people with merch and they're like, yeah, that's a great deal, great idea, or yeah, that's cool. I'll wear that every once in a while to a libertarian party or committee
Yeah.
meeting, but otherwise it's gonna, I'll just wear it to bed. So, if you have ideas that you'd like to see for kind of a behind the scenes snapshot and or extra perks for being, a paid subscriber. And we're not looking at like memberships that are ridiculous. Like we're
Yeah.
talking about probably like a base membership of $5 a month.
Yeah.
So we're not, we don't want to break anybody's bank.
Mm-hmm.
Inflation's ridiculous. There's a lot of stuff going on these days. So if you do have ideas or suggestions, please feel free to email us at welovethestate@gmail.com,
Yep.
because we would appreciate the feedback.
Yep. Speaking of that, if you don't have an email, I don't know why you wouldn't, but just in case, you can also reach me on Twitter at Andy_Coons. That is KOONS. I'm on Twitter every day. I like to post things that will get me banned on TikTok because, believe it or not, there are places that are more crazy than Twitter.
Clearly, like China is
Yeah.
more crazy than Twitter.
Yeah. So anyway, reach out to me on Twitter. Follow me on Twitter. Follow me on TikTok at Andy Coons. Again, that's KOONS. That's where my largest audience is. I put out little political skits. Have a lot of fun doing that. Also, I'm going to plug my other show. I've got another podcast called Holding Hands. It's only on Spotify. It's just comedy. There's no politics. Me and my co-host Rick McGinnis, we sit down on a couch and we bullshit, and it's funny. The most recent episode that we did had me almost in tears. It was so funny. So that's a good time. You can, if you are tired of politics, you want to get some laughs in, go check out that show. Yeah.
And for me, like, I hope to one day be big enough to be a guest on your other podcast. But
Absolutely.
in the meantime, please feel free to check out We Love the State on Instagram. We do have a community on Facebook as well. So if you'd like to get some righteous memes or have some discussion on anything we talk about or anything in general, actually, please feel free to join us on our Facebook group. Or also follow us up on Facebook. For me personally, you can find me on Instagram, Picture This 1979, or just search Ben DeJong. And you can also find me on Facebook under Ben DeJong. But again, We Love the State. That's what we're trying to build is our audience. And so if you're listening, please subscribe.
And share this.
Follow us on share the episode. So Thank you very much for listening, and stay tuned for more great content.
Yeah, I cannot stress enough sharing this, because if you know any like liberty-minded people, just send this to them. Be like, oh, what do you think? That helps us a ton. But anyway, let's get into this episode. Welcome back to We Love the State. This is your illustrious Thick with Two C's host, Andy Coons. Right above me is my other beautiful co-host, Ben DeJong. How you doing, Ben?
Doing good.
All right.
Nice to be back on the old horse.
Oh, yeah. We got two kick-ass guests today. We got Adam Nutter of somewhere, Pennsylvania. I don't remember where.
Bucks County.
Stand-up comedian. Buck 9. I don't know. I don't understand your Pennsylvania towns. Then we got Gerard Michaels. How you doing, Gerard?
What's happening, boys?
All right. Great to have you both. So yeah, stand-up comedy. That's a thing you guys specialize in. Do you want to kind of introduce yourselves a little bit? Starting with you, Adam.
Yeah, I'm gay. No, I don't want to do that. No, sorry.
What's your
wrong
pronoun?
meeting? Is that the wrong meeting? No, just I've been doing comedy 9, 10 years soon. Will be 10 years, I think. Too long. Way too long. Too miserable. Too much of a grind. Doing that 10 years. Mostly East Coast, but I travel. I'm on the road a lot too. I try to go out west as much as I can, and south and stuff like that. And then doing comedy. Started comedy in New York City because I'm from Staten Island, which is also trash. So just constantly growing up with essentially very liberal comics around me and trying to navigate that my entire fucking career.
Right.
And then I got my podcast, Cult of Us and the Porcupine. And that's it.
Porcupine was fun.
Porcupine is fun.
Yeah, very similar story. I played minor league baseball for 5 years, and then after that was done, decided I hadn't had enough torture, so decided to get into comedy. Been doing it, about 10 years now. I tour with Carol Ann Miljavic, very, very funny comedian. You guys should check her out. We got about 8 dates left on our current tour, and then I got a podcast with the great Mickey Gall, UFC fighter Mickey Gall, called Slick and Thick. Some good news coming out about that soon. I can't preempt it, but you guys should check it out. Some real cool things are happening there. And then I'd go live on my own podcast, which is trying to break the record for most episodes without an official name, every Friday on my. So you guys can go. We're going back and forth between live from the Shadow Ban. I personally like Death to Baizuo, but it's too esoteric, I guess, from the marketing team. But yeah, so go to Gerard Michaels on YouTube because Rumble's terrible. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So we have no other options. So we're playing away games constantly. So yeah, if you guys can, listen to the stuff before I get completely deplatformed, that'd be fun.
All right. Hell yeah. Gerard, I didn't realize how well connected you were until I just stumbled upon you on accident on fucking Patrick Bet-David's podcast.
Yeah.
I was watching an episode with some ex-CIA guy, and there you were. I was like, what the hell is this?
Yeah, Matt Zeller, Matt Zeller, who admitted that that the Democratic Party is actively steering us towards global federalism. And the interesting thing about it is, like, people tell you that that's a conspiracy theory, the Great Reset. It drives you out of your mind, and you're like, what, this book that the guy wrote called Great Reset? It's like him, it's his words. And then the way he said it so matter of factly, Patrick just moved on, and I'm sitting here like, as the co-host of the episode, like, whoa, go back to that part where, like, you're like, yeah, there's an actual conspiracy. This is a guy who was in the CIA and then ran for Congress, and he was like, yeah, we're moving to global federalism. Yeah, the nationalism's dead. And the fact that, like, people don't think that that's happening is so frustrating. And the conversation has to move past, is it happening, towards, is it a good thing, right? It's not. Right. Let's get into the conversation about whether global federalism actually has its merits, not whether or not it's happening, because I mean, that's the stupidity of having this conversation. While it's like, hey, it's like the Titanic is sinking, and we're debating whether or not it was an iceberg. It's like, yeah, no, it was an iceberg. It could have been a rock. No, it was an ice. We're sinking is the problem here. So yeah.
So in the town that I was doing stand up in, like I said, I never got past open mics, but I still tried, Say what?
What's the last air that could kill them?
Well, I had this bit about thinking I was bisexual, so I don't know how intimidating I was on the stage. Although one of the most, like, horrifying experiences I had doing stand up is I had this bit about accidentally calling one of my kids retarded, and I say retarded about 70,000 times in this. It's like a 3-minute bit. I get off stage, boo, everybody fucking hates it, quiet as a fucking mouse. And the dude that gets on stage directly after me is like a special guy in a wheelchair who was on like America's Got Talent or something like that. He just wheeled up to the stage after I just said retarded 50,000 times. And
yeah, you should just yell out from the back, look at this retard. Wheeled up on stage.
And the next up, retard.
Oh man.
Yeah, you could get away with certain words on, like, there's a bit I have where I say faggot, and I'm a very straight white guy that people do not like when I say that word, but it's my wife calling me one, so it's in context, right? So, like, I'm like, well, she said it to me, and it's a story, so you guys can't yell at me. So it's like there's certain, like, also, but like I'm sorry, guys. No, you totally can. But like there, I think I told a story on my podcast, Andy, where I did a show one time, and like this guy, he just started like running shows, and like I didn't know that he was like new at show running. I thought this was like a more established show, and it turns out like he was just like booking everybody, like established comics, like brand new comics, and I was like, oh, I don't even know half these people here. I'm like, who the fuck are these people? He's like, oh, they asked. I'm like, don't. You paying tickets, like, you can't just, you're selling tickets, so like, this is a book show, like, people expect a certain quality of product. So the guy goes on before me, and he was clearly brand new, and then he said faggot, I don't know, a million times, and everyone was like, yo, like, this is like this is like not like in the city, this is like out by me in the burbs where people would be cool with that, but it's like he was saying it like so like he was like using that as like a placement word. Yeah. And then the audience was horrified, and I was like, how do I get them back? So I'm thinking, and I walked up there, and I just took the mic out the stand, and I was like, what was that faggot talking about? And I got a good laugh. But then I'm like, dude, you can't do that. Like, that's crazy. You can't just say that word for like over and over and over. It has to be purpose behind in comedy of most of your shit. Like,
well, we're 90 seconds into a podcast, and we said retard and faggot 40 times.
We did. We did, but for purpose.
What'd you say the name of this podcast you invited me on was? Was this Career Suicide? Is that what you guys?
Yes, Career Suicide. Okay. Yeah.
No, I listen. The Patrice O'Neill settled this 10 years ago. He was, guys,
100%.
You can laugh about anything. You can joke about anything as long as you make it funny, right? Mm-hmm. If if you don't make it funny, that's the crime, not the word.
That's the problem.
Crime, you know what I'm saying? Like, I will admit, I miss the word. I don't say it anymore. It was a perfect word, to describe somebody who was, in order to emasculate an opponent on the football field. There was no better.
It's the Louis C.K. bit, right? It's
And
the Louis C.K. bit, 100%. It's like that. Suck that dick. Stop being a faggot. It's like it's nothing. It just means you're being a bitch, dude. That's all it means. It's all it's ever meant. I've never once called a gay guy ever. It was always like you straight guy are bad at football. Like it's all it meant.
Now you're not, certain levels, you're not allowed to call someone a pussy. Like wind sprints, you're not even allowed to use the term suicide for the way that you run forth. It's a wind sprint now, and you gotta sit crisscross applesauce instead of Indian style, whatever the fuck. Listen, if you tell me what the rules are, and I don't like rules to begin with, anti-authoritarian, as I'm sure everybody here is, but like at least we know what the rules are, right? Like if you tell me only gay people can use the word faggot, I'll suck a dick. That's fine.
I'll show them.
Rest of my life, it's like a vax card. I get a fag card. I suck one. Do I got to complete it? Then what's the actual? How far do we have to go?
I think just the act of mouth over shaft or mushroom head. I think you pass.
If I go tongue to head, can I use? Can I?
For sure, I would say that qualifies.
I just don't know what the rules are. So I mean, how can be expected to play a game where I don't know where the boundaries are,
Yeah, everything's constantly changing. They just make shit up as they go along anyway. The goalposts are constantly moved, so it doesn't fucking matter. Like it doesn't. Anytime you go up to rape, like the Daniel Tosh. Remember the Daniel Tosh rape incident like years ago?
Yeah.
That was based off bullshit. It was. The whole point was he was like, "Hey, rape's not funny," and then some lady's like, "Actually, rape's not funny." All right, rape her. That was that's what he said because it's just an annoying bitch being annoying and not getting what he's saying. So he's making a fucking statement and that gets twisted into this thing he didn't say. That happens all the fucking time.
Well, I think what a lot of people don't get, especially whenever it comes to stand-up, is there's especially ad-lib kind of random stuff like that is your job as a comedian is to say the funniest possible thing as a reaction to that. And so it's like a room full of people and someone's like, actually rape's not funny after you just finished talking about how unfunny it is.
Right.
And then you go off and say, wouldn't it be funny if she got raped right now? That's it's the most brutally hilarious news.
It's the funniest thing you can say in that moment. Yeah.
But that's also the problem, right? The problem is we're talking about middle-aged liberal white women. Let's be serious. Let's be
yes.
Right? Mm-hmm. And we're talking about in a room full of 200 people, we're talking about one fucking soulless bitch who decides that she's the most important thing in the room. And the worst part about her is that she'll laugh for 45 minutes about everybody else and everything. Right. But the second with even the gentlest gloves you touch her, that's it. It's over. It's a wrap. How dare you? She has this sense of entitlement, like this Marie Antoinette fucking ivory tower shit. How dare you? All right, and these liberal white women have pulled the greatest fucking con in the history of the world.
Agreed.
They have somehow out-privileged any of us while somehow getting on the victim gravy train with everybody else.
Yeah, I don't. Wild.
They're somehow both oppressor and oppressed. No matter whichever one is paying more at the moment. It's fucking unreal. And it's created this environment of look around comedy, which I hate, and I immediately make the room as awkward as possible. And what look around comedy is, you say something and people want to laugh, but you see their eyes get big like they're about to laugh, but they look to their right and to their left to make sure it's okay to laugh before they laugh. Fuck you. Imagine living your life through that filter of before I express joy, because that's what laughter is.
It's guttural too. You're suppressing a guttural instinct.
Imagine being so beholden to other people's opinions. Imagine having so little personal agency, so little control and desire to have control over your life that you want permission to feel an emotion from your surroundings.
A happy emotion.
How often does that look around comedy happen? I mean, are you is that every show?
It depends on the comic.
It's a proximity to a city.
Yeah, if you're in New York or Philly,
whiplash looking around.
I did a show in Philly the other day. But by the way, Gerard, I'm sure this happened. I know this has happened to you. You'll be making everyone laugh, and then that same dumb liberal white chick who's laughing at all your fucked up shit before, you'd be like, oh, also cats suck, and she's like. Or whatever the fuck you say. You know what I'm saying? It's like this immediate. It's like, oh, but the other thing was fine.
Yeah, but even worse, they don't just. You can make fun of somebody for something, right? And then they're like, "Well, I don't like that." They'll roll their eyes, but they're still with you.
Yeah.
you touch them a little bit. You get into their world a little bit. They shut off and they make sure everybody around them is having the worst time ever. They'll start sucking their teeth. They'll start breathing. They need so much attention. These they're like attention Tamagotchis. These bitches. They're like attention. Like
you're right.
They need to be taken outside to poop. You know, you got to understand too. All right, and I do feel bad for them, especially with Instagram and TikTok. You know, for a lot of these like upper middle class, good looking white girls, sitting quietly for 45 minutes is the longest they've ever gone. So like, this has to be a very like harrowing time for them to like not be the center of attention for 90 full minutes. I don't even know why they go to comedy shows. It's, you know, maybe
wild.
They're trying to grow, guys. Maybe they're trying to get outside of their you know, egocentric environment where, you know, they have to actually listen to another opinion for 90 minutes. It's got to be very difficult for them.
Like, would you say like middle-aged white women, is that like the number one offender in comedy shows?
Yes.
Or offended?
It's not even close. That and the effeminate man, like the pro choice guy who's like, I care about your needs and like I'm gonna get a vasectomy. Those guys, the cucks, simps, and the liberal white woman, they're the fucking worst. And like again, the cities you go to,
the guys who wake up in the morning,
who just like
the guys who wake up in the morning who look at themselves in the mirror, they're like, who am I going to be an ally for today?
Yes, and it's like kill yourself. and like the more you go into the cities, the worse it is. Like I did a show in Philly the other Friday night, and I was talking about how I hate bicyclists, which we all do. It's like the most like whatever, and I'm just busting bicyclist ball, and I ended it with like I want to like hit him with my car, like dumb shit like that. And they're like, we ride bikes in Philly. It's like, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
That's why I was expecting the joke to land.
That's why I said it here. Like that's
a whole bit on getting hit by a car while I rode my bike. So this is good.
It's just like this. It's like this annoyance where it's like, we want you to say what we want you to say, but like once you veer away from that, we'll fucking turn you in a dime. And it's like, fuck you, I'll bring it.
Here's the thing. This isn't like a new phenomenon. People have always felt this way. Where we're messing up is we're spending 5 minutes talking about these two miserable pieces of shit instead of on the 198 other people in the room that are having a great time and don't do that. You know, right now, our culture feels very much uneasy. We feel like we like a civil war could break out at any moment, but then you walk outside and everybody's fine. You go down, everybody's having a good time. All races, all colors, all walks of life. You go out in Fort Lauderdale, they're having a blast. It's two miserable assholes with a fucking Twitter account that ruin everything, but we give them all our energy. What we used to do before camera phones is we tell them to shut the fuck up or else, and the or else was a ... and they knew what happened after the or else. Now, these miserable assholes, they're the ones that tell us to shut the fuck up or else. The difference being 190 people are being silenced by 2 instead of 2 being silenced by 190, and that's what's happening.
No, Gerard, you're right.
You think like sometimes are people coming to shows, do you think, looking to get offended and so they can like voice and then have, because they have a built-in audience, so or do you think these are people who are expecting to have a good time and they're being offended is almost like a holy shit, I spent $40 on this ticket and now I'm offended, so that just adds insult to injury.
Mainly that probably, but like here's the truth. And like again, Gerard will guarantee back me up on this. You have bloggers who will intentionally go to shows of comics they think are controversial, and that is their goal. So it's like both like I've never went to something I know I'm gonna hate to sit through it and hate it more. That's fucking actual psychotic behavior. That's an actual crazy person behavior.
Well, listen,
like just don't watch it.
But again, who are we really blaming? Okay, like whenever I have a conversation with conservatives and they're like, "There's liberal bias in the media," and I'm like, "Yeah, they pay for it." Like, what?
Right?
What did all the Koch brothers' money disappear? How come you don't own your own fucking media? How come you like what you guys? Exxon Mobil didn't, guys. Halliburton doesn't have enough money to have a social media platform. No, of course there's a liberal bias because they pay for it. You guys don't. You whine, you complain, but you don't play the game. These guys that like who Adam's talking about, listen, Shane Gillis got on Saturday Night freaking Live, Okay.
I know Shane, by the way. Shane's awesome.
Shane Gillis doesn't like me, mind you. Shane Gillis I don't get along with him. We don't like each other. We had heat for a while, and I'm telling you, this is the single best joke writer in the world right now.
Easily.
He's unbelievably good at his craft.
Yeah.
And the fact that some open micer in San Francisco with a 130-person blog,
Seth Simons,
could start a Twitter thread that got Shane Gillis fired for Saturday Night Live. Why wouldn't these guys do that? Adam,
no, you're right.
Forever, unless he takes down somebody better than him. These guys, this is a marketing plan for them. But then to your point, it depends on your level and where you're at. Like, so there's a thing called a showcase show. So when Adam's talking about, for people that don't know, when Adam's talking about going to a city, there'll be 10 comics on a show. Everybody does 5 to 10 minutes, and you're going to rotate through, a lot of very hyper liberal areas. A lot of these are in college areas, and so you'll have varying degrees of success. You'll have people that have been doing it for 20 years that are working new material that'll crush. And then you'll have people that this is their third time ever doing a mic, but they said bring 10 people. So there's people that are going to those shows, and a lot of the times they're being lied to by these guys that are what are called barkers. They're barking them in from the streets.
Yeah.
Hey, I got this ticket for $10. Dave Chappelle's going to drop in though. Wink, wink.
Right. Louis C.K., Kevin Hart's here. It's like, no, they're not.
So no matter how good you are, no matter how funny you are, around the 20-minute mark of that show, Timmy and Tammy from Iceland are starting to realize Tina Fey's not showing up. And my God, it's a 2-drink minimum for our table of 4, and the drinks are $17 each. We got scammed. So those people are upset. And then on top of them being upset, you rankle their sensibilities. They're not having a good time. And this circles all the way back to the beginning of number one has to be being funny. But thanks to the Michelle Wolfs of the world and everybody losing their mind over Trump, the message became more important than the comedy. And the activism became more important than the art form. And so a lot of people go to these things as pseudo rallies, and this is where I'm gonna hear my opinion, amplified by, somebody with a microphone. So when one comic in the showcase has a differing opinion, it's sand in the microchip. They lose their mind, right? But normally, like, those people will hiss and bitch and moan, but they won't cause a stink. It's the person like Adam's talking about that, went there specifically to be offended because there's clout. And just think about this, guys. Think about, the world we're living in, where a dude like Jussie Smollett, right? This dude was a literal movie star. He thought he'd have more clout as a victim than as a movie star. So, like, for the clout economy for that section of Twitter is massive. It's not what they can provide, it's what's happened to them. So they have to put themselves in position to be victimized in order to have any equity in that community. It's grotesque.
Yeah,
it's the victim Olympics.
And it's all, by the way, they're all hypocrites, because, like, obviously the Shane Gillis thing we were just talking about, right? So he gets to SNL, and Seth Simons of the world, he comes out with a blog. But also, the lesser known other half of the Seth Simons part was Good Comedy Theater. Now, I don't know if you guys know who that is. That was a small comedy place in Philly, like right in Center City, kind of close to Center City, Chinatown, I think. And it was run by 2 very liberal comics who would book Shane all the time because Shane fucking crushes, right? So they started hating the fact that, like, Shane was crushing in their rooms, and all they would hire, they preach diversity. All the comics they would hire were white liberal comics. They would never hire my black comic friends who were funny in Philly. Would never hire them because, on top of that, they never paid any of their comics. They got sued by my friend Brian Durkin to get his money that he was owed. And these same scumbags are the ones that fucking went after Shane Gillis. They're closed down now, I'm pretty sure. But, like, it's those people. Those hypocrites they're the racist ones who preach diversity. No black people work there. They don't pay their fucking staff. They don't pay their fucking comics. And they're the ones who are like, capitalism's evil. Shane's racist. It's like, no, that's you guys. It's called projection, you fucking cunts. Like, it's all that is.
One thing that I've kind of noticed is that a lot of the people who screech the loudest, whether it's on Twitter or whatever, social media, whatever, I feel like these are people who most of their lives have felt like powerless, and I think these are the people who generally get sucked into the sort of woke shit, because as soon as they get into that, and as soon as they can be like, oh, they fucking canceled Louis, they fucking canceled Shane, they canceled all these other people.
You're right. It's Revenge of the Nerds, bro.
Yes.
I mean,
yeah.
Look at Silicon Valley. You ever met a coder who was fucking homecoming queen? Have you ever met anybody that?
No, there's probably coders that were homecoming queen.
Yeah. I don't think, bro, you see any of these editors at Huffington Post look like they dated the high school quarterback? They hate traditional America. They hate the idea of having any sort of personal agency. The only way to get ahead in their world is to give yourself to the machine, to repeat what the machine has to say, to do what don't ask questions. Give all your money to the bartender congresswoman and she'll save you from the weather. Don't ask how. You know what I'm saying? They to your point, they were never strong enough as an individual. They never had to stand up for themselves and create a personal identity. The only way that they were able to survive or find themselves was through a group collective. So now, they have this addiction to collectivism, and they're too deep into it. And anybody that can prove like self-worth through individualism is a threat to them, their entire existence and their entire well-being. And the other part of it is, and this is just the truth of it, it's been my experience with these people. You talked about projection, Adam, and you're so right. Like, I mess with my buddies I play football with all the time, man. I'm like, you ever think the reason you think all white people are corny is because you only hang out with white Democrats? You ever think the reason you think all white because you only hang out with white Democrats who don't go into the city, who lock their doors every time they come in? Hey, but I like a Tribe Called Quest, so I think I'm cool too, man. It's like, nah, dude, these are the goobers, man. These are the goofballs. These are the people that, there's also a weird sub-dom sexual thing to this thing. Like, there's a whole bunch of this shit that needs to get figured out. But right now,
a whole lot of pegging in the woke community.
Big, strong, as tough, rugged individuals, guys, we're a bunch of bitches, right? Like, we bark, they bite. They want somebody canceled. They get our quick. We don't even kick them out of the comedy show, Adam. We're like, no,
we don't. Stay, because you know why? Because we are rational and we think like, no, we could talk and like we're just talking, and they don't see it that way. They're like, no, this is a war and we want to win the war. And it's like, I'm not in a war. I just wanted to tell a dick joke, like, you fucking loser. And it's also like the Seth Simons of the world and stuff like that. It's a bunch of failed comics who are unfunny, talentless hacks who couldn't cut it. So they come after Gerard, me, fucking Shane, guys like us who are fucking doing our own thing. It's very fucking annoying.
Hold on a second. You're telling me you didn't think that Seth Simon's weird sketch comedy was fucking hilarious?
I know bird poetry, believe it or not, wasn't a killer bit.
Promo is this fucking geek gonna get? Like, God, stop saying their names. This is
you're right.
Point.
I gotta stop saying his name. You're right.
I disagree with you though, bro. If somebody's at war with you, you're at war with them. Whether you
no, of course, no, we are. I know. I'm saying like we go into it being like, "What are you doing?" And then they're like, "It's a war." I'm like, "Oh, I guess it's the war now." Like we don't want it to be. That's my point. It's like we just want to fucking do our own thing. They're making it the war that we have to fight. That's my point.
Yep.
What do you guys think college campuses?
Now, bro, I'm so sick of giving people the benefit of the doubt. I'm so sick of playing by their rules that they're not playing by. That doesn't make us noble. It makes us a sucker. Like, I used to be one of these guys, like, I'll never block anybody online. Like, free speech. Like, I'm putting stuff out there. You're entitled to your opinion on it. Now, dude, I can't even. My block button must be broken. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, me too.
As soon as I see somebody with a fake name and a fake avatar, I'm like, nope, you didn't. I'm out here using my real name and my real face. You can't even do that. I don't give a shit what you have to say. Like, no, I'm not. I'm not, battling bots all day long. That's not happening.
No, I agree. Especially after my recent Twitter ban, I have to. I just fucking block all the the lefties, all the lowbirds, all the block. I don't give a fuck. Like, you're not my audience. You're never going to be my audience. That's the other thing, too. It's like these people are like, you're not funny. You're not my audience. You never were. I don't value your opinion. It's not like I would only care if people who already support me were like, dude, what the fuck? Then I'd care. Some fucking lefty douchebag with his blue hair and his fucking, I'm a woman. I don't give a fuck. Go fucking listen to Michelle Wolf. I don't need you.
Yeah.
You were never my fan. You were never giving me money. You were never coming to my shows in the first place.
Yeah, that's a comedy thing altogether that I lament, man. Like, you know, I'm not a huge country music fan, but I don't need to go to Kenny Chesney and be like, you know, like, hey, you know, if you played some more thrash guitar, you'd be able to sell out stadiums more than you already are. Like, comedy, there's different types of comedy. There's different types of music, but for whatever reason, we all get thrown into one, you know, thing. Like, there's comedians I've never laughed at in my life, but I get it. I get why they're popular. I get why I like them. There's things that my mother finds funny that I just sit there and go, my God, really? And there's things that I do that I find funny that my mom goes, oh my God, really? Like, so it's everything doesn't have to be for everyone. But just to circle back to the original point, that is something that the other side uses as a weapon. They weaponize that. Whereas we sit here and go, man, I don't have to agree with XYZ, but I can think it's pretty funny, right? But then I go out, like I see Aziz Ansari do his last special, and to me, that was so sad because the whole special to me wasn't about being funny. It was about him doing everything he could possibly do to get back into the good graces of the woke LA community. Like, those weren't jokes crafted to be funny. Those were jokes crafted to be an apology and an homage to. Can I get TV now, guys? Please. I'm so sorry for being a heterosexual. That's my bad. You see, Aaron Rodgers, guys. Like, it was like you just sit here as a human being and you go, my God, almighty.
Dude,
it's cringe comedy.
Imagine Aziz imagine being Aaron Rodgers and being like, what? Like, listen to this little fucking midget, fucking nothing. Tell this superstar athlete that he's wrong. Suck a dick. And by the way, if Aziz Ansari had a hair of balls on him, he would double down, went against that fucking woke shit, and tripled his audience. But he didn't because he's a fucking cuck like the rest of them.
Because he wants to be on TV. But Adam, I'll push back again. Libertarians, right? All TV is money, guys. That's all it is.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't he? Put yourself in his perspective. Why wouldn't he? Is he gonna get booked by us? What? He's gonna do a fucking $100,000 fucking Hallmark movie with Kevin Sorbo? Like, what the fuck?
Awesome. I'd watch that.
I'd watch the fuck out of that.
What do our people do to support us? What does our audience do to be like, no, fuck that, come on our side. We'll make you just as rich. We'll make you just as famous.
Yeah, we don't have anything to offer besides, I guess, like podcast money and stuff. Yeah, you're right.
So what you're telling Aziz Ansari to do is be a fucking asshole like us, and we can do a fucking podcast at fucking 7:00 at night from our phones. Or he can go back and be in fucking movies and on national TV making tens of millions of dollars. And yeah, he'll be a cuck and a sellout, and we'll make fun of him. But he's fucking 10 bitches in Tulum next week. So who's really the sellout? We're the ones
we are
fucking up.
We're dumb.
We haven't provided, and we have no leadership that's doing this, a viable alternative. You know how many people?
Well,
I'm not going
to
name names, and I'm sorry. I'm just going to finish this up. I'm not going to name names, but Andy, you said how well connected I am. I'm telling you right now, bro. People don't even know the half of it. I know, but I'm not using that as name dropping or anything like that. I'm just trying to lend credence to what you were saying, Adam. So many people agree with the libertarian worldview. So many people are sick of this woke shit that I work with in the entertainment industry and that I know
same,
who are outwardly in support of it because it's that advantageous to their career. And that's not a failing of them. That's a failing of us. They don't want to do this stuff. They feel fucking horrible doing it, but they've worked so hard. They've sacrificed so much to get to where they are. How could they let a tweet ruin everything?
Yeah.
So because we haven't provided a viable alternative, these people are trapped. They're stuck. They have to be a mouthpiece for the regime because we don't provide them any other options. And that's not on them. That's on us.
I'm sorry, Andy, go.
Okay, so yeah, I agree with you, and that's why. I mean, I'm not 100% into the politics that Daily Wire is putting out, but they're building the counterculture. You know, same thing with Tim Pool. I was not happy about Tim Pool being a bitch about the Libertarian Party of New Hampshire's tweets.
Also, his music's trash. But go on. cringiest shit I've ever heard in my life. Oh, stop it,
I
Andy.
thought that song.
Stop it. Stop
Andy,
it. That song was cringy.
Okay.
Oh
I
my
didn't
god.
know it.
It
04
wasn't bad.
emo. Get the fuck out of here.
Dude, that's my
I
time,
couldn't
dude.
even watch it.
I mean, on a scale from zero, on a scale from Project Veritas's music video to Motley Crue, I give it a 7.5. Though. I mean, we're grading scale here.
There's a lot of things I want to see Tim Pool do, but not singing songs in a music video.
Tim, you deserve this. You were fine, buddy. You were fine.
Okay. Okay. So I'm a musician.
Sorry,
I've been writing and recording music since I was like 9 years old, and so whenever I listen to music, it's a much different experience for me than versus regular like normies, because I'm listening to the craftsmanship. That sounds a weird thing to say, or it sounds like a weird thing to say, but like the craftsmanship of the recording of the actual songwriting, how it's put together, how it's arranged and stuff like that. And so from that perspective, from like sort of music nerd, I thought the song was pretty good. The music video, straight out of fucking 2004. But that's what I got. Like all of my musical taste was straight out of that time period. And so I was watching, I was like, this is perfectly normal. I love this. But
my only counter to like all this also like Gerard, what you were saying about like we didn't build the culture. I feel like the left was brilliant at this. They infiltrated, they saw the importance of this and they infiltrated that shit 100 fucking years ago. And the right, I feel like, didn't find it important until very recently. I feel like the right always looked at movies and TV as like, that's not important. That's just fucking entertainment. Who gives a shit? And now we're fucked.
Yeah.
Education, tech, information. This is not something that just happened overnight. They decided that they were going to do a 20-year period of infiltrating all information technology. Mm-hmm. And the difference is also there's a certain level of this. I feel like that's inevitable, right? Like there's certain, when you look through history, what is the libertarian or even the libertarian right selling point? Give us power and we'll give you nothing in return. Like, right? So people that are attracted to our form of government, there's nothing in it for them. I mean, even a libertarian mindset of being anti-authoritarian, how do you get your best people to run for office when they hate everybody who's a politician? So, there's a certain level of we're destined to lose here because we're not offering anything that they're offering. We're offering a worse deal. We're saying, hey guys, do this because it's the right thing to do. But also we're all avid, market capitalists, and we're like, nah, it's not the way.
It's kind of hard to like, your biggest offering is responsibility. Like that doesn't sell very well. Like you actually have to be responsible for your own actions. It's like, that's not like, we're selling freedom. And that's, I think everybody can agree. Freedom, yay, well, that's great. But to your point, freedom comes with responsibility. They're like, oh, I don't, again, that goes back to, I think the victim culture is victims never have to take responsibility for their actions because they're a victim. And it's a way to escape around responsibilities because that's just there's such an avoidance for that. I wanted to kind of circle back to what you said about kind of the indoctrination of especially the young people, because I always look at kind of playing, especially on the comedy scene, playing like college campuses. Like I look at that as kind of the canary in the coal mine, because those are your, as they grow up, I mean, hopefully they will become wiser and their sensibilities will change and they'll be more understanding. But I don't see it. I think they're just growing into adults and actually being able to throw around a bigger stick. Do you see any change in that demographic, that college age demographic? Are we getting back to, because they used to be the biggest supporter of especially edgy comedy.
College humor, whenever it first came out, was incredible.
Well, the years I was in college was like 2004 to like 2006, like around there, and like that was like when Funny or Die was like getting big, and the college humor was getting big, and like it was all about like edgy, fucking crazy shit, and it's like literally like that Philly show I did was by Temple University in Philly, which is obviously a college, and there was like a younger audience there, and one of the comics was a gay dude who was like a Trump supporter though. And this whole table of like young kids were like booing it, like openly, and like again, didn't matter he was gay. None of that. It's just they heard with the Trump thing, and they just fucking attacked. And so it's like I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think it's getting better.
there's hierarchical rules now, like that. These things never were taken into account, right? So
Right.
when we were in college, man, like the whole thing from the left, it was the hacky sack left. It was don't label me, and now it's like everybody's.
Yeah.
This is my name. Here's my labels. You know, so like it's 180 completely. Like they, you know, I grew up, you know, marching against Bush, guys. Like I was no blood for oil. I was anti-authoritarian, and now I'm old enough to you know grow old enough to watch Dick Cheney be celebrated by the progressive left. I mean, this
Disgusting.
Right? It's just it doesn't make sense anymore. I mean, this is a lot of depending on which college you're at. A lot of it is the Chinese Red Guard. They've just been like they're not critical thinkers really, Ben, to try to get down to like the root of it. Like they hear something that they don't like, and you have to understand this. It's not all about them in education. This is something that all comedians and all entertainment struggling with, because you have everybody under 25 years old. Dude, they've never had to listen to the radio in the car. They've never had to watch television and just sift through the channels. Like they've been choosing everything that they've consumed forever. Like how many
on demand
people have Netflix and they go right to the show that they've watched, to the episode that they like, and they just watch what they already know. So on a certain level, they've never been trained. They've never worked the muscle of having to give art a chance. You know, like they don't try new things. They've been consuming what they know. They're very sheltered intellectually and emotionally from that sort of stuff.
That's interesting.
So when they get to campus, you know, and it's more important to them, especially if they're in groups, and again, especially with groups of college-age girls, it's more important for them the social signal to their friends that they don't like what this guy said. So they'll call you a sexist or a misogynist or a racist, and then you try to be like, two things throw them for a loop, right? One is be like, okay, I don't care. And then they're like, what? You're supposed to care. Like that's supposed to shut you down. You're like, nah, I'm a misogynist. It's true. Like, even though you're not, but what are you going to argue with them, first of all?
Right. Yeah. There's no point.
Or you could be like, all right, which specific part and how would you change it?
Well, I think narcissism, I think, is on a rapid display and growth, because I think these people deep down are extremely insecure.
Yes.
And that's always, I mean, my ex-wife is a textbook narcissist. So I have a little peek behind the curtain on that. But I think, you know, you overcompensate with the clicks on Facebook, the clicks on Instagram, you know, getting attention that solves that problem. My concern is for comedy, like what happened in Hollywood. I don't know if you guys ever watched the Drinker Recommends or any of his like reviews, because he's a kind of a critic of movies, but he talks a lot about, you know, the message, he calls it, which is, you know, social justice, and it's ruining Hollywood. I mean, we just don't see movies the way we see them anymore, and I think it's become now, it's just normal. You know, you watch the trailer for the new Pinocchio, and the fairy comes in and it's a queer blah blah blah, and it's like,
it's fucking drag
Ariel's
queen.
black.
Right.
Ariel's black now in Little Mermaid.
1800s
right.
France.
But my problem is there's something called the normalization of deviance, when something is just wrong or it's not right, but it just becomes normal because we just learn to accept it, and then it becomes normal. So, you know, but my fear is that it's going to eventually come for comedy. It's a lot harder to control comedy because it's you're in a club in the middle of nowhere where Hollywood's centralized.
Well, it's already here.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I feel like it's been attacked as comedy for a long time.
Yeah, and the other thing too is like you said, Ben, like a lot of these other comics who like attack us, they don't have talent, right? So their talent is, I have to take you out of here so then I could keep my mediocrity up. And like they have nothing to provide anybody with of sustenance. So their only sustenance is taking you down. Like shitty Philly comic, she's not even here anymore, but like me and Neil, we were doing our podcast Cult of Us, and like we were making fucking Anne Frank jokes about like if she survived, what would she do in life? And we settled on she'd probably be like a young author or writing like fucking vampire werewolf novels. And we were just ripping on that.
Harry Potter.
And then we were just ripping on that. And then this is why also they don't really have, like Gerard said, they're not smart. They don't have any critical thinking abilities. She must have just saw that clip because we put the clip out. She must have saw the clip, then approached Neil, who I co-own my whole company with, who I do my podcast with, and she went, "Are you going to keep having him on your platform?" Like, she didn't even realize that he does the show with me. Like, they don't do research. They just attack. So he's like, "Yeah, I'm his friend. We do the show together, you fucking idiot." And then what does she do? Yeah. She goes back to her friends, shows the clip, it circulates. And then if you don't care, nothing happens. Just don't care, because they're nothing to me. Like, all that happens is all other funny comments like, "Yo, that clip was hilarious. Fuck these people." I'm like, yeah, I don't even know what you're talking about, because I didn't give it credence. And nothing happens.
Yeah.
Ignore them.
You have to have the strength to punch back too, man. But again, I'm really hammering this home here, right? Ben, do you know why you feel that way about Hollywood? It's because that's who Hollywood books.
Right.
There's not a single, like, I toured with Caroline Miljavic. I think she is one of the funniest comedians in America, definitely the funniest female comedian in America. And no one's ever going to hear of her because she's not avidly pro-choice. That's it. So they're not going to put her on TV. She's not going to be on Comedy Central. She's not going to be on Comedy Dynamics. She's not going to get Just for Laughs. The industry is never going to get behind her because they can't control her. It has nothing to do with how funny she is. So, knowing that, it becomes our fault for not having a viable alternative. That's on us. So how much shit does Hollywood have to feed you, the consumer, for you to keep eating it? Why are we shoveling this shit down our throats? Stop feeding them. Why are we giving money to people who hate us?
Yeah.
It drives me out of my mind, man. There's so many other avenues that you can support talented people, independent artists. Our stuff is out there. Like, people hit me up all the time, like, "Bro, I see you doing big things," and I want to turn around and be like, "Bro, I've never seen you share one of my videos."
Yeah. Dude, I feel the same way. I feel the same way.
Thanks for the compliment, bro, but
right.
I can't think of any comment you've ever left. So I mean, like, something as simple as sharing a video, liking, making these people undeniable is massive, right? And then, supporting platforms like you said, the Daily Wire. I can't stand most of the stuff. I actually would love to punch Matt Walsh in the face. There's something about very punchable. But I gotta give,
I agree,
especially as a documentarian myself. What is the Woman was fantastic.
It was great.
Question worth asking, and again, for all my issues with Ben Shapiro, he's putting his money where his mouth is. God bless him for it. But we'll give all our money to Hulu and Disney. We'll give all our money to HBO. You try to ask somebody to watch, my documentary, Mafia States of America. People were like, "Come on, man, let me get a free link." Nah, bitch, I work off commission.
Yeah, that's annoying.
So you kind of see like the Ben Shapiro model, where you almost have to start your own thing to try to turn the tide. Because I mean, I've even seen stuff. I mean, Disney, for example, like the Loki series and a lot of the Marvel stuff, they're just losing money hand over fist.
They don't care though. They
don't care.
They already made, because here's the thing. They already made the money with the good stuff, like Iron Man, like everyone's like, yeah. And now, like, again, She-Hulk, right? It's getting ripped. And they're like, "You hate women."
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I hate this piece of shit that you're pushing an agenda into us. Like, it's.
Well, you got to understand, guys, the people that make the decisions already got paid. So
that's what I'm saying. They already have the money. Yeah.
If they want the money for the next thing, they need to show that they're willing to play ball. Right. So they can take a loss and then turn it around on the community and be like, "The community hates women. That's why Ghostbusters failed." No, it was a shit movie.
Right.
But the person that greenlit that movie 4 years ago. They already got paid. How many times over? They want that George Soros money. They want that PAC money, that money from China coming in. Well, they got to make sure that they're playing game. They're playing ball. And you know what I'm saying? So when it comes to this sort of stuff, all of this hand-wringing, all of this, but what about, what's the option? You think people stopped wanting to see, Rocky? You think they stopped wanting to see Arnold Schwarzenegger ripped up, saving the world, go America? When was the last time you saw like a mindless comedy? When was the last time there was a Tommy Boy or an Old School?
Yeah.
Super bad.
These movies use $1 million. I think that market just completely went. The problem is we don't make them. I got six scripts. I can make these movies for $100,000. You know how hard it is to find somebody to put up money for a movie? We hear bitch about woke. Everything's gone so woke. And I raise my hand and I go, I got scripts. And I got a Rolodex full of people. We can do this movie. In 6 months, I can get you a dynamite movie that fits your worldview. I just need $100,000. Oh, well, then what the hell? So I guess I got to put my script back up on Blacklist for some Hollywood executive to greenlight it. Is that shit going to happen? They might love my script and then they look at my social media page for 1 second.
See you later.
You almost need like a Netflix, some type of a streaming service that is 100% free speech, because at least with Shapiro, he's still hidden behind a paywall. You almost need to have my biggest concern is, and I can't remember where I listened to this, but a lot of the writers, that's the biggest issue, is the writing room is full of woke college kids. These are kids that the system has turned out, and they are, and they're writing the shows that they want to watch.
Plus, guys, nobody's fucking funnier than rich 23-year-olds who just got out of Harvard. Those people get America. Those guys.
Yeah, they live life. They have life lessons and stuff. Yeah, they totally get it. They've had hardships.
Kind of going back to the original question, as far as like how it could start influencing comedy, is do you see a lot of good younger comedians that are coming out of institutions, or are there a lot of younger generational quote unquote trying to be woke comics? I just don't know how you can be woke and be funny.
It's not about being funny, like Gerard said before. It's about the message, like he said with Michelle Wolf. He's
right.
like it becomes a rally, not a fucking. So it doesn't matter. So I have to, when I fucking try to find new comics, I just have to go, who's funny? This guy's funny, and then I'll talk to him and be like, "Are you cool? All right, you're cool." It's like a whole it's like a job hiring process almost. It's so fucking hard.
Dude, 99% of people would have quit. I went from being a house comic at 3 different clubs, working towards getting booked. I'm working 4 to 5 shows a night in New York for 5 years, losing money, chasing the dream. And it was a ton of fun. It was like a party every night. And then 2016 happened, and the fucking Trump versus Hillary and broke comedy. It broke it. And there's a lot of people who are bookers now, to Adam's point, who are failed comics. They're hardcore leftist women who felt like the only reason they didn't make it is because comedy in the 80s was a boys club, and now it's their chance, and they're going to book all women, and they're going to book blah, 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 blah. But it becomes more about, are you on message, not are you funny? I literally had to make a decision, and I left. I went to Nashville, and my career really built from me leaving. And most people wouldn't have done that. And I left New York to kind of get on. I ended up doing the Midwest, the South, went out to LA for a little bit. And I just really started, because you know what? It was never going to happen for me in New York. And I think what happened, but also I was told, I'll never forget, it was at a stand-up New York Christmas party. I was told, like, all you got to do is bend the knee, basically. You're the perfect guy. Daily Show as an executive producer for Daily. You're the perfect guy, but you got to kind of power away, nod. And I'm like, dude, what the, like? There's enough room in this pool for us all to swim, dude. Like, how about you let me throw a joke in there every now and then, and there's 10 million more people that'll watch your show. Exactly. They don't need the money, and they don't need those people. It's about the messaging, right? 100%. So
I've been straight up told before I won't get booked because of my politics. I've been told that.
Yeah,
and but it's like, hey, it is what it is. But I got to go outside the cities and make more money then.
I was there when I'm not going to say his name, but an amazingly popular comic now who I look up to dearly. He was a house comic at New York Comedy Club, and he did this joke about Trump, and he is by no stretch right. He's probably center left, right? And the booker comes into the green room, tiny little green room at New York Comedy Club, and says, if you do that Trump joke again tonight, I'm never booking you again. And he turns to her and goes, are you the booker here? Or when did you start telling comedians what jokes they can and can't do? To his credit, he pushed back. He didn't flop, and he wasn't big at the time. He's massive now. And she was like, I'm telling you right now. And he goes, all right, okay. And he goes up on stage and he sits on the stool. And the first thing out of his mouth is he looks over her. He goes, hey, yo, y'all see that fat bitch over there? She told me that you guys off for my Trump joke. You guys think you're too soft? They go, boo. They're like, let me hear you if you want to hear my Trump joke. Blah, blah, blah. And it was like the most innocuous joke. It was like, the joke was he doesn't want Trump to be president, but he wants Trump to run for every office in America always. He wants Trump to always be running for office.
It's funny. It's a funny premise. Yeah.
He wants Trump to run for controller of Beverly Hills next. Like, and like win the election and quit and then start running for something else again.
That's a funny premise.
It was a funny joke, and he's a remarkably funny comedian. But the fact that she thought that she had that pull, like that little joke somehow makes Trump likable, and that's going to swing the election or some shit. So she was mad as hell. But the point of the matter is like, imagine a booker trying to tell comedians what they can and can't do.
Crazy.
Yeah.
That's insane.
That's like, dude, just so people know, that's like the host of a restaurant coming to the back to the chef and be like, you're not going to make that spaghetti tonight, right?
Yeah, it's wild.
Nah, bitch, you do your job, I'll do mine. How about that?
That's why I say right now, the Stand is the best club in New York City, because Comedy Cellar went woke too, and the Comedy Cellar used to be the best club technically. I
don't doubt it. I mean, the Stand's pretty woke too, though, bro. But I mean, at least they allow for other opinions. I would call the Stand more apolitical than anything.
That's what I'm saying. Out of all the New York clubs, they're the ones that let you fucking have it. You know,
they're the best of the worst.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of comedians, Ben, to your point, that don't have that strength that guy did. And frankly, I'll give myself credit that I did, where I was just like, I got to leave. I got to get out of here. There's a lot of people that go, you know what? You're right. So white people, am I right, you guys? Yeah. Immediately change their whole set.
Donald Trump's literally Hitler.
Yeah.
Well, what do you guys think? Because, you know, some of my favorite comics, I mean, you've got Dave Chappelle, you've got Bill Burr, you've got Tom Segura. Like, what happens when they retire?
Segura's a woke lefty, if you listen to him personally. He's not this fucking...
But he's a funny comedian.
Yes.
Funny.
Yes.
So, I mean, I don't need to... Look, if I worried about whether or not the artists I consumed agreed with my politics, I would listen to 3 people.
Exactly.
So, I mean, right. I don't need people to agree with me. I just need you 100%. To be good.
That's be funny. Right.
And that's what pisses me off is on the other end of that, I just want that same respect. Like, don't worry about agreeing with me. Worry about, am I good at this? Worry about, am I funny? Worry about, am I...
Right. Is this funny? Is what I'm saying funny or not? Like, if it's not, then don't laugh. It's fine. But don't not laugh because you don't agree with what I'm saying.
Yeah, especially...
Like, that's fucking stupid.
Exactly. And Ben, to your point, you can be Dave freaking Chappelle, and 2 angry white women about a trans joke can get your whole show canceled in Minneapolis. Why would they cancel?
That's crazy.
3,000 people wanted to see him because 2 bloggers? We should be beating the shit out of these bloggers. We should be like beating them with bars of soap in a sock.
Agreed.
Like freaking, remember what was the movie Platoon? What? No, it wasn't Platoon. What
yeah,
was it?
Platoon.
Full Metal Jacket. Yeah.
Full Metal Jacket, right? One person that can't hack it is bringing the whole room down. Yeah. They fix that shit right quick. You know what I'm saying?
And he killed himself. So, you know, let's fucking get there.
Fucking sure. Fine. You gotta break some fucking eggs. You want to make an omelet here, guys. But listen, all I'm saying is, why are we listening to the worst people amongst us? And the worst part about it is, too, some of this shit, dude, they have a good point. Anybody that looked at the Me Too movement as like some woke nonsense, no, Harvey Weinstein's a monster. Anybody that ever looked at Family Feud back in the day with what's his name, Richard Dawson, just making out with people's wives right in front of him. Like,
I would have choked him to death. Yeah, fucking crazy.
Has a point, right? But the activists they sign on. It's kind of like they make a deal with the devil. It's like, hey, you know, black people are like, hey, can we stop fucking getting shot, please? And everybody's like, yeah. Next thing you know, it's like, yeah, but I mean, you know, we can also steal like $90 million from you guys, right? Yeah, high five, Black Lives Matter. It's not corrupt at all. They'll go to bat for these people forever because nobody advocated for them for so long that they don't care who advocates for them or how corrupt they are. At least they're on their side a little bit. Again, I feel like that comes back to us. You know, and Ben, you said it earlier, and it's the truth. Accountability and responsibility is it's a bad sales pitch. But we got to stop looking at the woke as like enemy, and we have to start looking at like, these people know this shit's corny and they know it's corrupt, but what are their other options? What other options are we providing people to feel heard and listened to and respected? What other options? Nobody wants to do this shit. Do you think anybody looks at the pink hats marching with the fucking vagina marching and is like, oh, I can't wait to fucking people know I'm one of them? No, they're cornballs. They're goofy. Yeah. Nobody wants to be associated with these nerds, but we don't give them another lane to run in. It's on us.
Yeah.
Well, and to your point
I also
earlier,
have to go, guys. I got to go do my other podcast.
Yeah, I know. I was going to say Gerard's got a heart out too.
I was just going to say we could probably keep going for another 2 hours.
Oh, easily.
We'll definitely have to do it again.
Oh yeah, for sure. So, well, let's just go ahead and wrap things up. Adam, do you want to go ahead and give some plugs?
Yeah, just I'm banned from Twitter, so you should go follow this other really funny guy called @tattooedcomic. That's not me at all, but go follow that guy. Also go follow @AdamNutter on Instagram, where I'm not banned from, and then go check my podcast, The Cult of Us. That's just comedy. YouTube.com/Cult of Us. Audio available everywhere, and then listen to the Porcupine, Libertarian one. YouTube.com/AdamNutter. I also throw comedy up there. October 21st, 22nd, I'll be in Orlando. Coming out to that. Everybody else, this has been fun. Love you guys. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us, man. Gerard, got some plugs for us?
Yeah, man. If people actually made it this far, you might as well go a little further and follow me on Instagram @GerardDGAF, and on TikTok, Gerard Michaels. On YouTube, follow Gerard Michaels and the Slick and Thick podcast. Every Tuesday and every Friday, you can listen to this bullshit for an hour.
Hell yeah.
Awesome.
All right.
Well, thank you so much for being on here.
Yeah,
My
for
pleasure.
real. It was,
Nice of you guys to, I think you at least said 5 sentences each of you.
yeah.
It's always
yeah,
nice
I
doing
think
podcasts
I
with
got
other
3 in.
podcasters.
Yeah. Yeah. Always one podcaster, not 2. You could have got 7 hours, me and him would still be talking. But no, this was great, guys.
Well, hey, I can't wait to have you on again, man. This has been awesome. Thank you so much. You have a great night, okay?
Appreciate it, guys. Play some pickleball. It's the next big thing.
Hell yeah.
Later, boys.
Later.